single interview, I'm starting off hyperventilating.
No, I definitely understand.
Action. Hi. Welcome to What Do You Need to Start, episode 6 with our special guest.
William Bernard.
Hi, William. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Man, born and raised on the west side of Chicago. I say that I say that with so much pride. I went to Curie High School, then went on to college. I'll be honest, my first couple years in college were simply meant for me to just live and fuck up. Wait, can I cuss?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. I went down to Illinois State, thoroughly enjoyed myself, but I always knew like what I wanted to do. I told my mom in 5th grade I would be a fashion designer. So like I knew at some point I would be going to fashion school. That's one piece. But I get to Illinois State. I do that thing for a while. I can remember sitting in my counselor's office and I was like, hey, I'm going to go to fashion school in Chicago. I'm out. And she was like, yo, pretty much in so many words, you're a fucking idiot. You're very close to graduating. You should finish here. And I told her, look, I hear you, but this is what I want to do. And then I started on this journey going to fashion school, and it was a complete, look, it was crazy, right? Because number one, I was one of 3 straight men in my program, right? So you have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to build relationships. You have to learn how to be amongst people that don't look like you, don't talk like you, that's not into what you're into, whole thing. And to me, that's probably one of the greatest experiences of my life, right? Being in fashion school and really having to get out of my comfort zone and my shell to make shit happen, right? I'm in the streetwear, but Reebok is not, it's not my jam, right? And she was like, yo, think about it. So we exchanged information. A week later, I was on the interview for a rep position. A week after that, I got the job, and that was my first big boy job of like making some real money. And I was still in school. I was still in fashion school, but I'm a rep now for Reebok, and I'm making a shit ton of cash, and I travel and do all these different things. And I got a chance to go to Boston, Reebok headquarters. It was like super dope. I'll never forget. The head chef there was a black dude. And when he saw me, he gave me a hug. I'm like, what's up? He was like, bro, I don't see black people on this campus. And whatever you done to get here, I'm proud of you. He gave me this big hug. And I was like, oh, that was a real dope moment because, again, I'm still a young man growing. This is my first big boy job. And like, as a young professional, I haven't even graduated yet, but I'm really doing good. And then I realized Reebok wasn't for me, right? So I left there. I saw an application for Adidas to be a field rep. Long story short, I was able to join the Adidas social purpose team. The first event was in Houston, Texas, for the victims of Hurricane Harvey. It was the craziest shit in the world. So when I got with Adidas and I got a chance to be a part of this project, it was like this eye opener because I was like, oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. You know, I want to create events and community, and I want to create impact, and I want to bring people together and different resources and different people from this industry and this industry to all come together to serve. And I remember telling my wife, well, at the time, my girlfriend, my wife now, but I told her, like, yo, this is what I want to do. I texted her. I said, I want to lead the fashion industry and I want to work in community. She was like, all right, okay, cool. That's a 180, but I respect it. And Will, put yourself in the game. She said, don't be afraid because they talking shit. Go put yourself in the game. You got it. And I was like, what are you talking about? She said, whatever it is to you, you got it. So go put yourself in the game. All right. I kind of took that to heart. So when he told me that, I was like, all right, man, shout out to Shawana for like putting me on game. and telling me that. Like, that's real leadership that impacts you for the rest of your career. That position taught me everything I needed to know about everything else in my professional career. It's like, you are this dude that don't look like anybody else in this town. And like every single day I would have to drive into this town and I would text my wife, like, yo, I'm terrified, because from 2019 to 2002, it felt like every single day we turn on the TV or Instagram, like a cop was killing a black man. And here I am, a black man, a big black man, driving into this super rich, wealthy, white Jewish community. Yeah. I never once got stopped by the police out there. I never once experienced any racism out there. And it was like, to me, it was a shock. So every time I talk about my experience on the North Shore, I have to give it up. Now, I do know people that did experience that, even while I was there, right? Because I had parents come to me who had adopted 2 young girls from Ethiopia. And they were saying, like, yo, she's experiencing racism. And it's one of those moments where, who do you want to be as a person? You want to be someone who's going to be diplomatic, or you're going to be a truth teller? It's like, all right, who are you? You know, because, like, look, it's like I told her, you're a rich white woman. Your husband is a rich white man. You guys adopted 2 black girls from Africa, and you brought them to the richest community in Illinois. Every single person in your daughter's school totally looks the opposite from her. She's the only black girl in the school. You don't think that she's going to experience racism? At some point, you got to have some self-awareness. And I'm saying this, and she's like turning red. And I'm like, look, I ain't trying to be mean, but you came to me for the truth, not to hold your hand. And I will be doing you a disservice as a black man if I didn't tell you the truth about raising 2 black girls. And from that moment on, I remember she got up after the meeting was over with. She gave me a big hug. She was crying and shit. I don't do good with tears, but she was crying. And I had a big supporter from her for the rest of my time there. Every campaign she would donate to, she would support. Her daughters would start coming to the center. But I told her, I said, look, I can't work in the school, right? But I have a good relationship with the superintendent, and I've created a safe space for your daughter here, right? Whatever she's going through in school, she won't experience it here. She'll be able to make friends, and hopefully that translate over to the school. And it did, right? So in 2022, I left with this, and I went to the Sky. Well, I am currently, I'm the community engagement manager for the Chicago Sky. I'm going on my 4th season, which sounds crazy, but I'm going on my 4th season with the Sky, and it has been the craziest ride. It's fun. Like no 2 days are alike. But, you know, aside from that, I'm currently in a PhD program, and last fall semester was my first semester as an adjunct professor. So that was a unique experience in itself. Yeah.
It's so much like wisdom and knowledge and gems out the whole story. You made a lot of bold moves your career. So when you hear the phrase, what do you need to start? What do you think of?
You got to start with yourself. Like, you have to start with yourself. And you got to make a decision quick, right? Because you can say, all right, prime example, when I made that decision to leave Illinois State, go to fashion school, I was terrified. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, from, I want to say probably February, you know what, when we came back to school in January, so probably from January to the time I left in May, I was depressed I was sad. I was moody. It was bad because I didn't want to be there. And I was so afraid of what people would say about me going to fashion school. Like, yo, I didn't want to be called this or be called that. So like, and it was literally eating away at me. So, and I started to have these conversations with people, right? But specifically in 2011, November 30th, 2011, Chicago, at the United Center, I saw Jay-Z and Kanye Watch the Throne. And I can remember Kanye was on stage, and the entire night he was like, yo, do what you love. Like, they're going to talk about you regardless. Do what you love. They're going to talk about you. They're going to call you names. And he was like, in 98, I was in an audience at the Jay-Z Hard Knock Life tour. He said, fast forward now, I'm on the stage and I have an album with my brother Jay-Z. And that moment like resonated so much. I'm like, holy shit, like this dude is like, is he talking directly to me? So like, I kept that, right? So the first step is having that knowing. Like, you have to know, you have to know that you're going to win. You got to know you're going to succeed. You got to know you're going to be successful. You got to know you're going to be strong. Regardless of your present position, it does not matter. So step one is having that knowing. That KNOWING, that knowing, it's a must, right? Because your present does not determine your permanent. And you got to believe that. You got to have that faith. You got to have faith in God. I'm Christian. I don't like pushing my religion on people. I can only tell you what God has done for me. And hopefully you'll be able to kind of take what you need from that. Like, I'll never hesitate to share my experience and my testimony because I know God is real and he's done some incredible things in my life. And every single time I get a chance to highlight them, I will. You got to get to work. You got to put boots to the ground. You got to start putting your 10,000 hours in because nobody's going to give you anything. I've tried, and it's like you're going to get better, but you can't be one of those people just sitting on the sidelines talking about what you could have did or what you want to do. You got to actually go do it. I have the thought, and I try, and God take care of everything else. But you got to have the thought, and you got to try. You got to put those things in motion together.
What advice would you give to someone in their youth considering you're already in a leadership position?
Man, develop your emotions. It's something you have to digest. You got to learn how to deal with things. You got to learn how to figure out how my actions are going to impact a situation. Because as young people, we can get caught up in feeling like I was right or I'm justified. But the real world don't work like that. To control yourself, you got to learn how to control your emotions. And then secondly, man, develop empathy. That's the number one key or skill that you need to be a leader. You have to know how to talk to people. You got to know how to embrace people. You got to know how to understand people. It's tough. And being someone who's willing to serve others, because working in community, I'll be the first one to tell you, it's a thankless job. You will get cussed out. People won't be happy with something. People won't say thank you, but it's not about that. That's your ego. It's all about the service. And like, you got to know, if I'm serving, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, man, God will take care of the rest of everything.
Final question for our interview today. So if there is a difference, if not, that's totally fine. But if you can give any advice or tips to any person, any age, considering or already in leadership.
I would say you need to start being the person you want to see. If you want good energy in the space, Man, you come around, you better be smiling. You better be someone who can bring good energy, show love to people, show respect to people, honor people. Don't be afraid to just be nice. Like, being nice is free, but it's important to kind of build those qualities within yourself, because they will get tested. And who you are, like on the inside, is going to show. I'm telling you, it's going to show. So be a good person, man, develop those skills and be nice to folks, man. And everything that you want in life will come to you because you're doing good things. But you got to put that good energy out.
Okay, thank you so much, William. Any last thoughts or anything you'd like to add before we end?
Man, I enjoyed myself. Yeah, I really did.
And thank you all so much for watching. What do you need to start?